Hello and welcome to the Healing Circle, a modern day approach to spirituality hosted by the founder, Spiritual Wellness Christine. It is my mission to help people find an achievable approach to wellness and spiritual healing. With insights into the spiritual world, this weekly podcast will remind you of just how important it is to find balance in your busy life.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Healing Circle, where we'll explore the journey to deeper alignment, self-discovery, and spiritual growth. I'm your host, Christine, and today we're diving into the topic that so many of you have shared with me, the one I've experienced deeply myself, the loneliness of a spiritual awakening. If you've ever felt isolated, misunderstood, or even lost relationships after stepping onto your spiritual journey, this episode is for you. Awakening isn't always a smooth or easy journey. In fact, it can feel like you're shedding everything you once knew to be true. And while this can be lonely, it's also one of the most transformative experiences of your life. So let's talk about why awakening feels so isolating, why it often means losing people along the way, and why ultimately this is for your highest good. So when you first awaken, it's as though the veil is lifted and you're beginning to see the world and yourself differently. And it's beautiful and liberating, but it can also feel deeply unsettling. All that you believed to be true, your environment, your friendships, your work, your career, literally is crumbling down around you. And why? Because the version of you that fitted into that old life is no longer here. You know, you start questioning things that you accepted without a thought. Your beliefs, your relationships, career, even the way you spend your time, completely changes. It creates a sense of disconnection from the people around you. So if you've ever feel like you don't fit in here, one day you're so comfortable with inner circle friends, and then the next day it's like, they don't get me, or I don't feel comfortable here. What am I doing? It is going to be your family and friends that are going to see this change first in you. And they're not going to understand the changes that you're going through. For instance, they might see you pulling away from them, talking about things they don't relate to, or behaving in ways that they don't recognize, And this is where the loneliness comes in, because you are starting to see the truth in things and in the way the restriction that is on us in our everyday lives. And that can be from education, career, it can be from friendships, it can be from family, it can be simply from the environments that we live in, that we truly are not where we're supposed to be as a collective. However, it's changing. So there's a mass spiritual awakening happening across the world for so many people. But I'm getting a lot of people are mistaking it as a breakdown, or they may be going to the doctor and saying they're hearing voices. It's their inner wisdom is starting to be heard, and it's being brought forward. And there's a lot of people that are stuck in this sense of being rattled, not understanding this inner wisdom coming true, also trying to see how they fit into this world. And it can just be very lonely. It can be very, very lonely. You're growing, you're evolving, you're expanding, and you're also healing. But the people around you may not be on the same path. And that's okay, because it's not their journey, it's yours. I'll give you an example. I would have had a lot of circle of friends. And if I really think about it, I felt I didn't fit in. I was always on the edge. I always feel anxious about being accepted, was always dimming my light to fit around other people, was afraid to speak my truth because I'd be rejected or judged, just two of my major wounds. And I was afraid of losing people. I was afraid that my friends would turn on me and they wouldn't want to know me anymore. And one of the hardest parts of awakening is realizing that some friendships won't make it through your transformation. People who once felt like your whole world might no longer resonate with you. It was a process for me. I stepped back. The only thing that was my saving grace was the lockdowns. I stepped back in the very start, a couple of months before COVID hit, So then when it was suddenly locked down, it was like, okay, I can go inwards. But the loss, and I don't think people understand until they go through it, the grieving process that we experience when the people we once felt so connected with, we just feel there's just such a big disconnection from the way we think, the way we live, the way we act, etc., etc. And it can be heartbreaking. You might feel guilty for outgrowing people, or you might face criticism for changing. Some people might suddenly say, look, you're just really different or distant. And people may dismiss your newfound spiritual insights as like nonsense. And let's be honest, it hurts. Like, it hurts to feel so misunderstood, and it hurts to let go of people that you love. And the truth is, and it's something that we all have to embrace and to understand, is that not everyone is meant to walk this path with you. And when we make peace with that within the cave of our heart, it gives us a sense of being able to let go. Because then we're trusting and surrendering and believing that the people that are meant for us in the next part of our journey are going to come in. When you suddenly start standing in your truth, you shine a different light. And it's like you're a lighthouse and you're sending out your love out into the world. And the people that are meant to help you in the next part of your journey, it's like a moth to the light. They will just come out of nowhere. And you'll suddenly start having chats and then starting to strike up a friendship. And then suddenly it's like, oh my God, these people get me. I feel safe. I feel love, and I feel wanted, and I feel celebrated. If I look back, I felt I was just being tolerated by certain few people in my circles and not fully celebrated. But when I stepped onto my healing journey and started shedding the layers of people that were not for my highest good, it opened up a whole new world where I have so many like-minded people that we all get excited when we see a moon, or we embrace the sunshine. We wake up in sunrise swims, Weekends away are full of adventures rather than sitting in a pub all weekend. To me, that's what I was missing. I was missing that connection to people and experiences and having fun. Awakening requires shedding old layers, and sometimes those layers include relationships that no longer align with who you're becoming. And that's okay, because they're not meant to be in your future. And there's one little tip that I would say: if you're sitting there and you're grieving the old version of you and the friends that you had, and you still see them every day, but there's a disconnect there, sit in meditation and just call in your highest good and say, if they're meant to be for me in the future, so if they are meant for my spiritual path, then I let them go until it is the right time and the frequency is aligned for them to come back in. What I've noticed when I stepped away from a few groups is it actually caused a ripple effect for other people in the group to go on their healing journey. So in a way, when I sat and looked at the higher perspective of it, I was a catalyst to help others in that group to start looking inwards and healing themselves. And that's not coming from the ego. I'm just looking at it as an energy. So when I stepped away and said I needed to mind myself and I needed to go inwards, and I love them and I'm always their friends, but I just need this time to myself. Of course, it ruffled a lot of feathers. But in essence, now that I look back 5 years on, there's certain people in that group went off and started their healing journey. So it only takes one person in a group to start on their spiritual journey or the soul journey to then make it a ripple effect. And then what I would say is, if it's for my highest good for that person to come back in at a later stage of my life when they have done the work on themselves and I've done my work on myself, and that we align and our frequency is at the right level, then our friendship will blossom again. Because a lot of us are not in the present moment. We're not living in the present moment. So when we're in the grief, we're constantly in the past, or we're constantly stressing about the future, But when we sit and say, do you know what? I'm actually going to operate from the present moment. Right now, they're not on my journey, but they may come in the future. And I release and let that go. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I had to take away from. Just because you step away doesn't mean you don't love them. It is more that you're loving them more and you're loving yourself more and you're putting yourself first. So, trust the process is the biggest thing. When you lose relationships, like during your awakening, it's not a punishment. And for a while, that thought process did come in for me. It's like, why am I being punished? It's not. It's a clearing. The universe is making space for people who will support, understand, and uplift the new version of you. And yeah, it's lonely at first, and that loneliness, God, when I think about it, I used to hate sitting in the quietness. I hated sitting by myself. The loneliness to me was alien because I had spent so many years surrounding myself with everyone around and being around everyone because I was technically afraid of what would come up if I silenced everything and sat in my energy. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle with actually stepping away and giving themselves time to get to know themselves. Ask yourself, do you really know who you are? I'll leave that there. It is going to be loneliness at first, but this loneliness is only temporary. And it's what I would call a sacred pause, a time for you to reconnect with yourself before inviting new aligned relationships into your life. And honestly, when you do step onto this path, it is challenging, but there's going to be so many rewards. Like I have great memories now of the aligned people with me and we're on adventures and we go hiking and we go cycling, we go surfing. Yeah, it's much better than sitting in the pub, isn't it? But there's a few things just to, help you navigate through the loneliness that I want to share with you today. If you're feeling the weight of loneliness in the journey, here are a few things that help me. And the first one is embrace solitude as sacred. So instead of seeing your loneliness as a void, see it as an invitation to go inwards. Use this time to journal, meditate, and connect with your inner self. The answers you are seeking are within you. And number 2, find your soul tribe. And I think this is where a lot of people are like, where do I find these people? They are out there. While your old relationships may be falling away, there are so many people out there who are on the same path as you. Like join outdoor events, join communities, attend workshops, connect with like-minded people online. Your soul tribe is out there. They're just waiting for you to find them. And also practice compassion for others. Remember, not everyone will understand your journey and not everyone will have this new perspective that you've gained. And that's okay. Your awakening might trigger discomfort, and it will actually. It's not even a might, it's a 100%. It will. It will trigger discomfort in a lot of people around you because it reflects their own unhealed wounds or fears. So show compassion, but don't dim your light to make others comfortable. And I think that's what a lot of us have been doing up until now. Send them the blessings and just release them and let them go. And you know what? When you're sending blessings, you're hoping that their higher self may start to try and communicate to them to start on their healing journey. Again, I had seen that in my group. When I had stepped away, it caused a ripple effect for other people to look at themselves. So you could be helping them by that way. And then, trust the process. Know that every loss, every goodbye, and every moment of loneliness is part of the greater plan for your growth. Trust that what's meant for you will find its way into your life. And I'm a big thing about that. What is meant for you will not pass you by. But trust the process and surrender to it. So at its core, awakening isn't about losing relationships. It's about finding deeper alignment with yourself and others. The people who are meant to walk this path with you will stay or find their way back when the time is right. And those who don't, send them blessings, release them, and trust their journey is unfolding exactly as it should. One day, I guarantee you, in fact, I promise you, you'll look back and see how these moments of loneliness were preparing you for something greater. You'll see how the people who came into your life after this clearing were more aligned with your soul's truth. And that is a wonderful experience. Remember, you're not alone. So many of us have walked this path and we're here cheering you on. Thank you for joining me today and for allowing me to share this sacred space with you. If this episode resonates with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear these words. And as always, remember the path of awakening is not easy, but it's worth it. You're becoming who you were always meant to be, and that is such a beautiful thing. Until next time, stay grounded, stay brave, and keep shining your light.
We have come to the end of this week's episode. I hope that you enjoyed everything that we covered today. If you're interested in what I do and who I am, you can always go to my website, spiritualwellnesschristine.com, where you can book in for a session and where you can sign up to my newsletter. You can also go over to Instagram, where you probably get the most up-to-date access. My handle is @spiritualwellnesschristine. With all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here next week. May your mind be at peace, your body in harmony, love in your heart, and your spirit free. Have a good one.